pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any select board announcements? Thank you all for coming. I know it's the middle of the day. Thank you, DOT, for making the time to meet with us. We appreciate it. Sorry, I need my glasses. We're going to meet with representatives from Maine DOT to discuss drainage concerns on State Road and the general area between New Meadows Road and Bull Rock Road. Not sure who wants to start this off. Any suggestions, ideas, thoughts?
I have a question. Where does all the water come from?
Sky.
And how does it end up in the swampy area?
Land on each side of it is higher. It's been settling there since 1937, so.
A long time.
Yeah. Since before 37, but our plan showed that was a swamp in 1937 on that side of the road. And the northerly side of the road was more of a swampy depression area before it became a landfill of some type. I don't know whose landfill that was. Maybe Ted has some history on that, because you're the one who closed it.
My father filled it in the 60s, prior to DEP, as he did where the Taste of Maine restaurant is, as he did where across the street from Bill Bottom's is, as he did. A number of places, mostly all 90%, 95% is just building debris from the other.
Okay, so it was one of those 60s remediations. So
Before DEP.
Before DEP.
Before 75, when DEP should.
DEP showed up in 75?
In 1975, DEP was inaugurated and shut up. And we were about done filling them all by about then anyhow, but, you know, since then, there's no wetlands being filled like that.
Mm-hmm.
But prior to that was all legal. My father was Harry Crooker, and he was a pretty honorable man, right?
Well, I have a question. So, there used to be a culvert that runs down through there that would drain the south side of that off over to the north side. And the state came in and investigated it, and they were supposed to make it so the water table stayed the same and run down through there. Do you know exactly what they did at that time?
In 2006, I was the region engineer for Region 1. I know exactly what we did.
Okay.
So, let me go back a step further. In 1839, there's a county layout out there for the original goat path, if you will, that went through there. In 1937, the state came and bought rights to build the road on its current alignment. I don't have all the sheets of the as-built plans, but I do have the title sheet and the drainage sheet. So in 1937, there was no culvert, and that's why I struggled to find what the original elevations were there. No culvert was installed there in 1937. We don't have any records of when that culvert there got installed, but somehow there's a culvert there now.
We're talking about the one that's close to the intersection, or are we talking?
We're talking about the one that crosses the road near the parking lot.
The one that drains that bog.
The one that drains, yeah.
Okay.
So, in 2016, the system that was there failed. Water was coming up over the road, and it was winter, and we were using a motor grader to bust ice off the road at that time, in between closing the road. Kind of in the spring, early spring, we got in there and started investigating. The pipe that went across the road went into a catch basin that then went subsurface, under drain, out to the stream on the easterly side of the parking lot. That had all collapsed.
Well, let me introduce myself. I'm Steve Reno, the road commissioner of West Bath.
Yeah.
And I did stop by and check, try to figure out what you guys are doing. whatever you did do did not work. I just come back from FW Webb, so I took some shots.
Yep.
The water, if I dug out that culvert right now to clean the water to leave FW Webb, that bog is gonna fill FW Webb up. So, you did not get that ditch line low enough that goes across that field?
No, that's,
Or
let me finish.
Okay,
So, it's early spring. We did the
What
pipe.
year are we talking?
2016.
Okay.
We get out there to replace the pipe. Between 1937 and 2016, somebody put a high-pressure gas main out there, which we could not dig within X number of feet of. So when we replaced that culvert, we left it 6 inches high from the old one.
That's the difference.
Here's the
It's
problem.
about 6 inches.
It's about 6 inches. And really, right now, we just took shots. There's only 4 inches of difference in elevation between the inlet and the stream. I can come in there and lower that pipe for 6 to 4 inches, and it's not gonna change anything.
well, I can,
Because I'm gonna hit the historical watermark or flow path.
you say this, but all this water was not there before. I mean, we've thrown rivers out there all day long. I've lived in the town of West Bath my whole life. I know how big that wetland was.
There was once a building in that swamp, like you can look out and see there used to be a fish market in that swamp. So if you're telling me that the water's only gonna ever drop 6 inches, how did the fish market operate out of that parcel? Did they just all put boots on and go out there to do it?
But
I don't know. I can only go by, look, my job is to make the water go from the swamp to an outlet.
okay,
The physical earth, which I didn't control on either side of the road, says from the inlet of that pipe, I've got 4 inches of drop to the stream. I can't make water run uphill.
Right.
We're talking physics now. I don't know how that swamp drained. Now, what I have noticed when I was looking over, have you noticed all your development around here since the 60s? You understand your time to concentration is reduced by half when it rains. The water arrives in that swamp so quickly now that evaporation, natural leaching, and this outfall can't handle it like it used to. So I'm sure historically that thing would dry out before all the houses and the gravel and the paved surfaces and the roofs sheet the water up and send it right in there in seconds. So that's part of the problem.
Now, did you say, I don't know if I understand you right, you said at one point there was a pipe that ran underneath the landfill, and that's what failed.
Yes.
So like that's,
Negative, I'm gonna have something to say about that.
Okay.
well, you say to him, he's the one that said it's there, right?
Well,
He just said that there was a pipe under the landfill, not me, so don't look at me, Ted.
I'm looking right at you, because you've been doing all the talking for months.
Well, let's not get terribly personal here.
And I don't even have
Look at the
something to say about
facts.
Well, say to him, he's the one that said the pipe's under there, not me.
Okay, let's stop for a
I didn't
minute.
say anything,
we're
Ted.
not here to argue, we're here to fix this
Where's the
problem.
gap? Right.
You got a bone to pick.
Let's stop now. Mr. Parquet?
Yeah, I own the land to the south of the Crooker property, okay? And there are 2 culverts under the road, 2 cross pipes. One that was put in 2016 that you're talking about.
Right.
And then the one that was there when I bought the land, going back maybe, I don't know, 30, 35 years. And that water always ran through that older culvert and drained through the north, and there was never a problem until the land was filled in, okay? So the easy solution there, I'm not an engineer, but the easy solution is obvious. Take the old culvert, okay, and dig it out to daylight, end of problem. The water drains out. Now that water is 4 feet, well, at least 3-4 feet higher than it was originally. So absent all that fill-in to the north, that water would continue to run to the north and not flood my land. So I lost valuable land there. And basically what you have on my side is a pond, an illegal pond that was created because the underground pipe was not maintained. Mr. Crooker, at a meeting, at a site meeting in 2016, he said that his father, Harry, put in whatever old pipe, like, he didn't say old, he said, whatever, I'm trying to get this quote right, he said, he put in whatever pipe he had on hand. And obviously, the insinuation there is, the proper pipe was not put in there. And there was no, I think it was a lengthy pipe, no clean out, so if something happened to that pipe, blocked up and flooded my land. So if you want to look at, if you want to go back to where the water used to run, I think that water would have ran to the north for probably hundreds of years until the land was filled in. Now one more comment, okay? The DEP gave Mr. Crooker like a 15, 20 page engineering survey on how to seal that land, okay? And they spell out how to drain the land, and I believe in the language of that thing, they said how the ditches and pipes have to be maintained, and they weren't maintained because obviously in around 2016, the water came up over the highway, froze, and I believe there were at least 2 accidents because of that frozen piping. And I think that's what precipitated a big meeting and the new cross pipe to bring the level down at least below the highway. Okay, so I've lost some valuable land, and I'd like to be made whole again. And for me, the only way to be made whole again was to go back to the original culvert, and I have a saw cut in that culvert showing the exact level of the water going back at least 20 years. And at that time, there was no standing water except around the inlet of the culvert. There was a little bit of standing water. Otherwise, in fact, I used to drive a backhoe through there, where there's now 3 feet of water.
Is this the same location we're talking about, or is there another close location I'm not aware of?
No, same location.
Same location.
Yeah, that cross pipe is still there. The old cross pipe is still there, but the saw cut in it. And I think the simplest solution would be to just dig that out to daylight. Done.
And I could, and I can dig that out to daylight. But where am I gonna put that water? I'm gonna be lower than where that drainage run daylights now.
I don't understand. Can you say that again?
Okay. I can put that, I can go in, we can take a year, wait for the utilities, water out there also, I believe. I can have all the utilities moved. I can go in and put that pipe in exactly where the old one is.
Which is 6 inches,
I believe the old pipe is still in good condition. Of that.
which is 6 inches down, right?
It's 6 inches down. The problem is, where we got the drainage easement from you, it's gonna be flat through there.
Okay.
I have a lot of falls.
The investigation that I've done over there is where they had that outlet on that outlet, and over the years, the whole backside of Whispering Hill, which I'm calling it's going over the hill, has washed out probably 50 times, and they come back and they fill it back in. So I believe most of that dirt's gone down there, built that up down there where the culvert came all through, and screwed everything up. So I really think that if you go down there and you clean that ditch line that goes all the way to the power line, you'll get your water table drop.
Don't look at me, I don't own that property.
I'm just letting you know that the dirt from the state is basically, so came down the side of the roads, plugged up.
Here, so
Yeah,
to expedite this, how about I do this? I'll put the pipe in at the old pipe elevation, and it's not gonna fix it.
Where's it
But
gonna-
I'll take care of it, the state's right.
You guys did that a couple times, dug that up and put a new culvert in, and then a couple years later, dug it up, put a new culvert in. I mean, I have
It's been at that
I have a record
elevation
for
for
that.
years.
Excuse me, I was talking. Mr. Crooker? Yeah, you interrupted, I'm sorry.
How much of this is just because of changing circumstances? I have been watching at my place, a salt marsh, encroach where it had been filled in 100 years ago. It's now wetter. And the water, because we have these increased rainfalls, the water is running faster off the two hills that drain this little swamp.
So when you go from grass and forested surfaces, when it rains on those, it takes forever for that water to get to the ground. It rolls real slow over the surfaces to get to the low point. When you replace that with a roof and a paved driveway, the water goes to the low point in minutes rather
Right.
than hours. So what happens is, you're seeing more runoff from developed than you're used to in a lot of these watersheds. That's
Right.
something to consider
Well,
when, every time you get a house permit, you're impacting.
We haven't built any houses where this little swamp area is, but
It's hard to tell the hydraulics. I
But
mean,
the-
they could be impacted from something 2,500 feet away.
Well, I guess one of
So-
the biggest lines is how do we go ahead, okay, FW Web has a loading dock there. And if this keeps continuing, then I'm gonna have a loading dock, because the water's gonna start hydraulicing back into their building. So somehow we
I
gotta
don't
go
have
out-
the answers for that. My responsibility is to maintain water through Fair on State Road, and I'm willing to do that.
At
how,
the level of the existing culvert.
I,
Now, see,
here's what I will do. I'm going to put that, I'm gonna dig out the old cover after the utilities move. That's gonna take a bit.
yeah,
mhm.
I'm gonna get the water removed. I'm gonna pull the pipe that's there. I think it'll be, we can keep it in good condition. I'm gonna go down and take the 18-inch metal pipe that's out under it. And I'm gonna drop the 24 back in its spot. I'm gonna walk away. I'm gonna dig as best as I can. I have the rights to go,
That's
I own the drainage easement through that trapezoidal ditch. I'm gonna get as much pitch as I can to that stream, and I'm gonna walk away.
Mr. Crooker, do you have? I'm seeing your
I
hands up.
think he just answered my question. I think I was curious if they took the old one out or if they put it on top of it. You say they put it on top of it?
Yeah, I couldn't get any, the old pipe was there.
So the water in 2016, the water came up 1.5 feet.
Yeah.
Or 2 feet. Or what?
Couldn't come up 2 feet. There's
No, you said, did you
18 inches.
Did you just tell me you put the new 24-inch plastic smooth bore pipe
Yep,
on top of an 18-inch corrugated culvert?
yep.
I didn't know that.
Must be beside it, it came in a double.
Because in 1997, when we closed up the facility, there was 1,000 feet my father put through the through the fill area. And it all came up to that catch basin that pipe goes into. And 2000,
Seeing there's 1,000 feet of closed drainage out under that.
there was underneath it, but we ditched, you know what, underneath the ditch will take more than any pipe will ever take.
That was my
It's
concern.
much easier to maintain, and that's what the state says. Because what initially happened in 2016, or 15, I should say, when that plugged up and iced over the road, all the gravel coming down Witch Spring Hill, and the 18-inch culvert we had from that manhole, taking that water from across the road, going around that ditch, that open end was, it was only that much of the 18-inch culvert open, because of all full of gravel coming from the state, off down over the hill. And that's when you guys accepted the easement to take it across there and maintain that, because gravel came down, it really wasn't our fault, it was gravel coming in over the years, building up, and plugging up the drainage from across the road and over that way. And prior to that, you know, the culvert going across that we added on, and why I say it was different pipes over the years, if I might add, was there was a good many years that we did that. There was concrete 18-inch culvert, there was some steel 18-inch culvert, but it's all good culvert. But because that was a swamp area and all the fill on top of it, you did some of this, and it wasn't maintained. It was actually too long a run for 18 inch to run that far. It's flat. So everybody agreed, including the Army Corps, the DEP, the state, everybody, that we we ditch around the other side of the culvert, where all that water is coming off the hill anyhow, going down around this fill area. So we just reopened that, and we put about 230 feet, 18-inch culvert there. But that was in 1994, 7, I believe. Well, between then and 2015 and 16, the gravel came off the Whispering Hill from the state highway and plugged up the outlet. And I kept saying, it's not my fault to go maintain that, it's really the state's, because it's their material coming onto private property, you might say. So,
Is it my water going onto your private property?
well, it is, yeah, it's
I don't make water.
and it's clarified, it's clarified the stream, you know, it's clarified the stream, so it's the stream is being plugged up. So anyhow, I'm not pointing any fingers, it's just one of those things that happen, and then this happens. So we all got together, and you were part of that the day we went down there, and everybody was happy. But I never realized right now that you said, because I noticed the water came up after that.
Yeah.
But
It's
you
that
put
gas
that pipe on top of an 18-inch pipe?
Right, so you just lost 18 inches.
So that's what the 18, and that's what I said, because some people were saying 4, 5, 6, 7 feet, and some people were saying 3 feet. But from my recollection, from my education, my time in this earth that God gave me, that I say about 1.5 feet is what I always said. And I never realized that you put it on top.
Because it was dark in a hurry, couldn't move the gas main. But we can do that now.
You
Takes
can
money.
move, you gotta move the gas thing?
I don't gotta move it, I gotta tell the gas company to move it.
Can I ask what the time frame for
That's
this
a big
would be?
deal.
Is that what existing
18, 19 months.
Steel pipe, is this one?
And that's,
Yeah, that's.
we have a day's worth of work.
Yeah, it's the utilities.
It's the utilities that are gonna block, because those are some big lines, so they gotta get them out of the way, so that they
That's
can
all,
make this.
and that's really where it is, because that's been that way
Well,
for
that's
50 years.
exactly
Really, all I can do after that.
Can we have one conversation at a time, please?
After I get the utilities moved, we can pop that pipe lower, and I can get as much fall as I can out to the stream.
It's-
After that, I cannot use state resources on private property. So that's where the partnership in fixing this comes in. I don't know how you're gonna get the fall out.
The 18 inches shouldn't be much, maybe a little bit of ledge the first 200 feet, which you have the easement of.
Right, I'm gonna take care of
There
everything.
might be a little ledge there, I don't know. But I think within 350 feet, you'll establish, and water runs flat.
That gets pretty deep.
Yeah.
That gets pretty deep.
Does it get deep?
And then it really,
So do we wanna rely on Mother Nature to kind of push that
I
back
think
in
so.
shape?
And I think,
it's better than relying on it to walk
I think
through
you'll
that
get
hill.
I think you get that without too much problem.
Right, I'm gonna stay right in that trapezoidal ditch.
That's why it's great we had an open ditch, because that saves a lot of headaches.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you get it to start flowing, it's gonna create its own depth.
Right.
Well, I don't see a lot of high flow through there. The trapezoidal ditch was also designed to run it a little slower, so.
Right, but
It's gonna
also,
take a little bit before
open
that
ditches
pushes
are
that
always
state
maintained.
gravel.
water.
So you're in possession of state material then?
Yeah, we resell that. Yeah. It, well, I didn't realize till right now that you put it on top. I thought it was replaced.
We got down and we went to grab the old pipe and the gas guy was standing right there. Oh, you can't get any closer. You can't dig any deeper. I could get the road open by morning.
Well, wait a minute, what did they do when they came up to the culvert? When they were putting the gas line in?
So they,
They went right under it,
By how many feet?
a foot or two. And you can't dig within X number of inches of, because it's 100 PSI main.
What the heck?
Yeah, it's like an 8.
Oh, don't worry, I got their permit and I signed it and it's not deep enough. So I'm either gonna give them a choice, go out through the swamp with it or give me the road. I gotta do the same thing to the water company too.
Unbelievable.
water companies already have some issues out there.
So, it's probably good this little squeaky wheel gonna get some grease in.
Right, I'm just here to set the expectation. This, like I said, I've got a night's worth of work.
Well, I understand.
I've got to permit and push utilities. And
Well,
that's probably about 100 PSI main
Oh,
taking care of
man.
Bath Ironworks. Yeah, they're gonna be real eager to shut that down, aren't they?
no,
That's where we're gonna be.
you
And
That's where the
I
time
guess,
is.
I understand it, at least we know what is, because we all know the water table has came up
Oh, yeah, I know, because in 2007, I was on Google Earth. The size of the swamp hasn't changed in 40 years.
And then you
There's
guys
a
are down.
picture on Google Earth in 2007, it's dry as a bone out there. Oh, it does dry out.
Anybody else have any questions?
I have questions. So do the utilities have any right to tell DOT, no, we're not doing
They
it?
do not.
Okay,
They are there by a permit signed by me.
okay. My next question is, okay, we go ahead, DOT does exactly what you suggested. How does that affect your ability to correct the issues at FW Web?
The water table.
Foot and a
The
half.
water table.
Yeah, but in the meantime, I mean, we're 18 months out.
There is none, keep the culvert blocked so we don't get the extra water.
Now, do you need any,
I don't think it'll back up much, so.
It's,
in the
I've
interim,
cleaned it out every year, and it just, where water can't go that way, it just plugs it right.
in
That's
the
what we
interim
can-
before this change in elevation takes place, you intend to clean out the culverts, but do you need any permission from DOT to work within their right-of-way to do any additional work to correct the issues at FW Web?
No.
What he was saying is we do not want to clean up the culverts at this time, because it's gonna invite more water back towards MWF. We need to wait for the elevation, the other culvert, the water elevation.
Right now, the water is, going away by itself slowly over a period of time, correct? But if we invite water,
Well, it's been like that since 2016, they agree.
Well, Mike has been expressing
Yeah, but it's
some
built up.
serious
it's,
concern about the
it's
issues
cat
there.
nine built, everything else is built, and that's what's plugging
So
it
they're
down.
saying if they
We've
open
been
the
having
culvert,
trouble
it's
there.
gonna flow the water more towards.
Every time that
I
rises a little bit,
understand
it's
that.
gonna flow more.
I'm
forward.
trying to
Because,
push a little bit and
it's been
say
like that
how,
since 2016. That's
how are we going to correct
7 years.
or deal with Mike's concerns about what's happening right now at FW Web?
No, right now,
How-
nothing's happening, is it?
Right now, Webb is, I mean, we get heavy rains, I mean, we got what, that 5 inches or 6 inches there a few weeks back. I mean, yeah, it flooded our end of our driveway, our loading dock had 6 inches of standing water in it.
How long?
A day or two,
I think if you could flush the culvert, you'd be one person.
you know.
Where does that
It's not
water
gonna go in
end
the
up
night.
eventually?
There's a culvert there.
I'm just trying to get
The one that goes.
What water?
The
Runs
water in the
north.
swamps.
Into the, what's that little stream?
6 years ago.
Well, it did do it, so.
7 years ago.
It is, so that's what it
So,
sells.
and that was on the road, no?
There's nothing.
There's a stream, because I got a bridge down, a large culvert down before the Meadows Road. There's a watershed that runs through the hills that
Mr. Crooker, I'm having trouble hearing them.
You know, which came to.
Oh, the one that you guys just replaced, you talking?
Yeah, west of there, there's a stream or a
The
watershed.
one they just replaced, the one you just did like
Yeah,
probably 2 months ago.
yeah.
It's not really a stream, it's just kind of a pond and a.
But
But that is like that's a channel that runs all the way down to the hill, across the hill road and down in the.
He wants to dump
What's
it,
it-
but the gas line in.
They're totally different
I did.
bodies of water. They're actually not even connected really.
Right.
Those two.
I don't know
So
where the
is
water
the swampy area where the geese hang out, is that separate
Yes.
from?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, and where does that water go?
it goes all the way down to Fournier's
Across
field.
the hill road.
Paul
Yep.
Fournier's house in Mary's.
Right,
That's where the outlet is, it's called the Stepping Stones.
yeah,
That's where the outlet is for all that water.
Mhm.
and the stuff that's on our side? And so where does the water that comes out of the area where Mr. Crooker's parking lot is?
That comes out, and it comes out by the hill road, if it went this way, or it goes over to the power line, and it goes,
And the north goes to the bottom line.
Okay,
I think it actually goes underneath the highway.
it actually, yeah, goes down the
It
highway,
goes north.
over by the same crossroad, if you went.
Yeah.
So it might eventually come, some of it might eventually end up back down this stream, but it goes the wrong way before it does.
Yeah.
Exactly. I
okay.
think it loops.
You gotta remember, West Bath's all wet, so water's gonna find its
Yeah.
own route.
Right, I was just wondering what that loop was, because there's a lot of stuff that's in between all the low spots.
Most of your water runs, north to south, except for that one runs south to north.
So will FW Web be able to weather this until we can get this
As long
resolved?
as we don't get 12 inches of rain or something.
Well, if they get 12 inches of rain, all you need to do is call me and we'll get a pump down there.
Yeah,
But, and the only way we can pump it is down over the hill the other way.
yeah, towards, back
So-
towards,
I mean, I don't see where, we've had some
If you
really.
dig it out, the culvert that goes across the road where his is never going to go any higher than that.
Right.
The water level.
Right now, the water level's high
It's the same level
right now.
as the ditch, as the culverts by, Webb.
I can take you right down if you
We
want
just
to
have
try to
the
explain to me what you're
laser.
saying. The
Okay.
water, the
The
water
water
is
table's the
running
same height.
the wrong
I
way.
just wonder how 6, 7 years have gone by and it hasn't happened over and over and over and over again, if that's the case.
Well, it has been happening, hasn't it?
For
It does.
clarification, Mr. Paquette, when did the water start encroaching on your property? Was it
Going
the
back
216?
Since the Crooker property was filled in, it started building up. And that, I'm going back 15, 20 years. Now,
I was just curious about.
15, 20 years, somewhere around there, I was able to actually drive a backhoe through there, and now there's like 3 feet of water there.
Which makes
So for me,
sense.
I don't understand, I mean, I would like to have somebody refute my simplistic argument, okay? And my argument is, take the old culvert and follow that out to daylight, to the north. Done, everything is done.
That's what he's saying?
I think that's what we're talking about.
I think the old culvert that Dave's talking about is probably underneath the landfill.
Not the 2016.
No.
That's way up.
They need to replace that old culvert.
Yeah, he's
It's
gonna
not in
actually dig
good
that
shape.
old culvert up and set a new culvert at the same height as that old culvert.
But I think what Dave is talking about,
That, yeah, that's gonna get the water on the other side of the road. Now what happens?
He's gonna make it, he's gonna go to where he can daylight it.
Who is?
I own an easement over there, I own it.
But you can't go on Crooker's property, right?
Yes, he
You
can.
said that.
Yeah.
He donated me an easement to
Oh,
maintain
you
this
do.
water.
So you're gonna dig it out to daylight, DOT?
Through the DOT drainage easement that I've encumbered on his property.
Okay, so you're gonna ditch it out to the east where there's a water course.
Yes. And I'm not discounting or disagreeing, I do remember a lot of that gravel being down there being a problem.
Yeah.
Waller, and, you know,
18 inches, only that much showing the pipe, it's full.
So, worst case
I remember that
scenario,
when we dug the old pipe up, it was on gravel.
worst case scenario after all that, after he gets to his 250 feet, somebody might need to help get the water another couple hundred feet.
You know, if
If it's not,
nobody's
you know,
looking,
just that extra,
He's gonna use it really for
well, yeah, but I'm saying if he gets to his 250 feet, says I can't
I'm
go
gonna
further,
go to the end of
might have to
that,
go another 100
and I'm
feet.
gonna dig as far as that excavator will reach without leaving that easement.
That's what I'm saying, is
I mean,
big excavator, quite a way down.
And if not,
a long reach at the
if
end.
not, I probably can get you a long stick.
I was gonna say, I'll take a long reach.
I don't see, I think 200 feet is plenty, but.
But I don't want anybody there, I don't want any cell phones or cameras or anything.
Probably get you
You
some
said
swamp
some
mats
cameras.
too.
Any other comments, questions?
so after they do this, what happens at Webb? Is Webb responsible for replacing those culverts, or is West Bath replacing the culverts, is the state replacing the culverts?
The culverts will not have to be replaced. They'll get cleaned out, flushed out. We'll probably end up bringing a fire truck down and flush everything out as much as we can. Get the cat nine tails out of there, clean up the ditch line, and FWM will not be responsible for any of it.
The only thing I might add to that is the upper one on this side is the smooth
You
board.
should get that in
Plastic.
minutes.
The other one is steel, been in there probably 20 years, and usually they rot up at it.
Well, if it needs to be replaced, we'll
The
replace it.
second one, closest one to that is.
Yeah,
is
you're talking about the
It's not-
cat
it's not-
nine
it's
tails.
not a smooth
Yeah.
board.
No, that's, we just checked the steel.
Yeah.
And the one going across the road, there's actually steel too.
Those have about a 20-year.
But
If we're gonna do
me,
that one.
if I'm still road commissioner at the time,
time,
I will guarantee you that we will replace your culvert. You guys that didn't have any doings to any of this, so.
That's good.
Now, do you need permission from DOT to work within the, deal
What
with cat
is-
and nine tails?
So, yeah, what about the cat nine?
How does that
I just dig them out of there and get rid of them?
Do you need me to do some ditching over there, is that what you're asking me? Okay. Did you get that? take care of it.
Okay.
It's probably easier for you to take the cat and I
It's probably easier just to give me verbal permission to go through the,
You have permission to work within the right of way too.
okay.
I think that's easy.
Good to know.
Mr. Carquette, any other questions from you?
I think I'm okay.
Okay, Mr. Corkett?
No, I'm good.
Mr. Reno?
No, I think
FW
we
Webb?
made it somewhere today.
FW Webb?
On about a foot and a half.
No? Nick, anything from you? I don't know who the two guys are behind you. Oh, Mr. Mitchell?
No, I'm good.
Let's see what they're gonna do.
I'm all set, thank you.
All set?
I didn't mean to send it, because it had nothing to do with it.
Got a plan?
I think we've got a plan. We've got a plan
We've got a
that,
plan.
it's gonna take some time,
Sure.
but the gas company and the water company are gonna move their pieces of
They are going-
obstruction.
They're going to push back and play games, but
You'll keep us updated, though, I'm sure.
we will keep you updated, and we will keep on it.
Do you have a rough date? Rough estimate?
18 months.
Have you ever worked with utilities before?
Yeah.
Christmas 25 at the tree lighting.
But I tell you what, they were there fast when I hit that line.
I just have a
Well, let's
question.
start a new plan. The problem is you hit that.
Gentlemen,
That's,
I have a question about, we live in a political world. Who do the utilities respond to? If somebody were to make a phone call and say, this is a serious problem that's impacting people's lives, fix it, please. Who would, who?
We've got some clout. Let us get started and see if we
Okay.
have a problem. After that,
Okay.
we'll let you know.
Okay, that would be helpful, because we live in a political world, and I find that those who use the system do better than those who don't. And my father used to tell me, call them up.
I'm assuming this gas main service is BIW, and that's gonna be the pushback.
That's a full bath. Bath never had natural gas.
Is there
before.
redundancy?
You're
I
right.
just want to add one note.
That's over my head.
Okay.
I just had one
So
note.
last time, didn't they rent everyone on double ground? Well, it doesn't work or something, and then they put that in, I thought.
They can do all kinds of things.
They can do that for water, but not for natural gas, that's 100
Mr. Carter?
I just had one note. Only MDOT could lower that pipe.
Right.
Ted Crooker could not. And
That's
right.
I was told a couple of times that I should fix the system. I legally, I would be
You
in,
can't.
I would be in such trouble by all the tree huggers and the duck lovers and everybody else if I was a lower wetlands. The only one who can legally do that is MDOT, that I know of.
God save the salamanders.
Mr. Mitchell?
Ted, one thing, so, that's gonna drop in this pipe will drop the water level in the swamp about 18 inches. But like what Paquette has said all along, the water's come up like 3 or 4 feet. So like, I think you have to admit that there at one time, there was a pipe underneath your landfill, and even after the pipe, eventually the pipe, can I finish? So there was no pipe underneath the landfill. This guy just said there was a pipe under the landfill.
Yes.
And so you're still saying there's no pipe under the landfill?
Did you understand? There's a road called the Old Bass Road. There's a culvert that's now a foot and a half higher than it was before. That's been there since Hector was a pipe, Hector was a pup. There's a catch basin right there, and 1,000 feet went from that pipe that went across that he's talking about lowering into that catch basin and went 1,000 feet across. That's where it all came from. I cannot do anything in that landfill, and I'm sorry, Mr. Anything, I can't do any more than what the state's elevation is. That's all, that grade determines from one side of the road to the other as where the water's gonna flow. That 1,000 feet of pipe, as you keep talking about, we took it and shortened it by doing a ditch, went 2 feet that way, and that same culvert, at that same grade, and it was that way since 1997 that I gave you the time of print of it. 1997, and he's talking 20 years, something happened. Well, 97 is 24 years ago. So that grade has been the same all that time, and even back and forth, and that grade has been, that culvert's been there for that time period. In my estimation, and I don't want to bicker or try to offset anything he says, because I believe he's got a legitimate right, but I don't think he has a legitimate right of that 1.5 to 2 feet. Because that culvert crossing the state highway, not Ted's highway, not Larry's highway, not Frank's highway, not Harry's highway, the state highway. That's the grade you want to talk about.
Well, okay, that grade that you're talking about, the old pipe, cross pipe, okay? That old pipe, when that was working right, the water level was low enough that I could drive a backhoe through there. I keep saying that over and over again, but if you, I can take you there now and show you there's like 2.5, 3 feet of water there, okay? So if that, if the,
If that's the case, you
should, yeah, let me
bring
finish.
it-
If the pipe, okay, you don't want to let me finish, that's okay.
No, go ahead and finish.
Okay, so if the, that old pipe level, the outlet of the old pipe, if that was dug out to daylight, whether by...
Which old pipe are you talking about? Now, which old pipe?
Can you ask him to be quiet, please?
Yeah,
Well, I
Mr. Paquette,
don't know which pipe it's
Please.
talking
I'm talking about the old cross pipe, okay? So if that old cross pipe level, okay, the bottom of that, cross pipe, if that was followed out to daylight to the north, there would never be a problem.
about. That's what he's gonna do, he's gonna lower the foot
Yeah.
and a half.
Let me sum this up for a lot of us, okay? We found the issues, okay? They took a pipe, the steel pipe you're talking about, everything drained right. They stuck
You're talking about the old pipe?
the old pipe that you're talking about.
Yeah, everything was working fine.
So they stuck, exactly. So they stuck a pipe on top of that. So you've got a bevel on a pipe about 3 inches, and then you got another 18 inches. So that gives you 20 inches extra water there, okay? So over the years of everything changing, the more rain we're getting and everything, that makes it even look even more water in there. So that 18 inches of water time it goes across your whole property, it's gonna take that much longer for that to drain out to that height. Back when you drove your backhoe, we didn't have this kind of weather. The culvert was 18 inches lower, so it was probably did dry out, like you're saying, when you drove. So basically what I'm trying to say is, over the years, between all the new buildings and everything else, you are gonna lose some. But they definitely have come to a good conclusion to get that down where we are.
Sure. Well, I can tell you, okay, over the years, I don't care if we had 10 inches of rainfall, okay, the water going through that pipe didn't even fill half the pipe up, okay?
No, and I understand that.
So you're talking about an increase in water going through that pipe? Well, maybe there was an increase in water going through the pipe, but nowhere near even filling half of that pipe. Because I saw, you know, I would monitor that over the years.
Right.
I'd see in a heavy rainfall, the water would run right through the pipe, no problem at all.
But what I'm trying to say is, you got a ditch line that goes all the way to the power line. You got leaves that fall down, you got tree limbs that fall down, everything gets plugged up. So you gotta get a backup. Unless somebody go back 50 years and clean that ditch line from there to all the way to the power line, you're gonna get the same effect that you had 20 years ago.
And that would have never silted up like it is now. It's all blocked up.
I'm just trying to explain why this,
Okay.
that there is gonna be some more.
The original engineer report said that the Crooker, the owner of that property has to maintain connectivity, okay? And so that means they have to make sure that the water is flowing through the pipe, flows out away from the pipe. And I mean, and it's that simple.
Well, we did, because the manhole that he's talking about, that he went on top of, went into our catch basin, across our pipe, and down through. But you gotta remember, that gravel came down over the hill, plugged up the end of our pipe, and that's when it iced over and all that stuff happened, because it didn't have 18 inches of flow, it only had about this much top of the culvert flow. And that's when the state came in and says, well, look, we'll take care of this, we'll open ditch it, so we won't have that problem anymore, and we'll put a new culvert in. And I thought it was the same elevation. I apologize to you. I think I told you I thought it was the same elevation. I just found out it wasn't. It was 18 inches high. I apologize to you.
Thank you, Ted.
I want you to apologize back to me publicly, like you did on the media too someday.
okay, so we have a
No,
conclusion,
you wouldn't.
and you're gonna do what you do.
I'm going to do what I do, but I need to say one more thing. There's one more piece to this puzzle that DEP played.
Yeah.
As the engineer of record, when I was doing this, I didn't want to cut that angle, you know, where your catch basin. I wanted to straighten out so I could get more pitch out through the parking lot. DEP said no. So even if I struggle to get some pitch and make this better, It's not gonna be Ted that stops me, it's DEP's already told me I cannot cut. They didn't even want me to cut through where I cut through. They fought us on that.
Yeah, we found there was no problem.
It took a while, but, so, I'm kinda hindered where DEP let me go in that landfill.
Right.
You know, my engineering, I wanted to come straight
Mhm.
and get down that stream farther where I had more out, you know, negative elevation.
I think they're gonna make a lot of people happy by dropping that down at 18 inches and keep the ditch maintained so it doesn't backfeed.
Sounds like to me.
Yep.
Sounds like we can
And that's
get-
the best we
you
can
good with
do.
that?
Well,
Seventh day of June.
I have some reservations, but I don't have any more questions right now.
Okay. I think.
So I'm hearing that we're in agreement to at least move forward with this, try this, not saying we won't have other issues, because other things may pop up afterwards. But I think this is where we all want to go, this is where we're heading.
I got one more deal I can give you all. I own the land that goes all the way down through to go to the hill road. If you guys want to give me some money for that land, we can blast the ditch line.
Oh, we'd like you to do a good deal, Ted gave us this volunteer easement.
Well, he's right, there is another outlet that could be derived, rather than go across the road, go across his property and go the other direction. Did you realize what he just said?
I did not realize, is there another spot?
It may be an avenue you might want to look
I
at.
do wanna look at it.
So
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
so.
yeah.
Well, it's not just mine,
We
we have
could,
to
so we could bring you,
agree with it.
we could bring you to the backside of that swamp if you'd like.
Well, I think that would be discussions between Paquette and Reno and DOT.
That's correct.
Well, there's nothing I can physically do out there, but I might be able to write a check.
Now we're talking. I didn't even dig the ditch.
Wait a minute, did you just buy swampland?
Would be the first time.
I didn't get an answer, I just asked a question. But it's
So
not
that's-
plural.
It's only one jump.
We're all
That's
set
normal,
on this
guys.
one.
It's
Yes.
only one jump the ledge holding to it.
Again, thank every one of you that took time out of your day, because I know this isn't the easiest time of day for a meeting, so thank you.
And it's a marvelous day in town government when we can have some agreement among parties that came in with no agreement at all. And that's kind of a wonderful thing. Thank you all.
Make a motion, we adjourn?
Second.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, guys, thank you.
No, you,